This is Channel Attitude. Your voice, your right, your freedom.
That's right. It is all of those things and more. ChannelAttitude.com. Excuse me. Welcome, everyone, to Smokeout with Shelly and SJ, the interactive video show where you can be a part of the show. We do the show every Wednesday now, around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I will send you a link on the day, let you know where to find us. You can come join us. You can be in the chat room on audio, on video. You can bring props. You can smoke out with us, ask questions, participate in what we're doing. All of that good stuff you can do just by subscribing at channelattitude.com for less than $1 a week. Today is episode 60/17, episode 60 overall, 17 exclusively for channelattitude.com. You can also find us at ShellySJSmokeout.com. You can find more information about me and about Shelly. If you don't know anything about either one of us, that's where you can find us. I'm, of course, Stoner Jesus. As you can see, she is Shelly Martinez. Shelly, how are things this week in the world of Shelly?
Well, I'm out, so that's a plus. What's kind of a minus, though, hopefully it won't be an issue, is normally Danielle has Wednesdays off, and she just takes Minnie with her into her room, doesn't go crazy with barking. But she had to cover a shift for somebody today. I'm hoping that Minnie is a good girl. I will try best to lower my volume if she goes crazy. It is trash day, but I think all the trash trucks have come because I think there's 3 of them. There's the recycled, the one for like your yard, like greeneries and stuff, and then the normal one. So I'm pretty sure all 3 have come by. Minnie has a feud with the trash man. So it's a whole thing. So knock on wood. And unfortunately, next door, they're still doing construction. So there might be some noise there. So sorry about that.
And there you go. So if you hear anything, just chill with it.
Just ignore
it. Don't worry about it. Everything's okay. I'll tell you otherwise. Unless we alert you that something's gone wrong, everything's cool.
Yes. And today is Yom Kippur, which I do observe, but because of my health reasons, I'm not fasting. So this is the first time I'm not fasting. But, for me, it's really important because I grew up Christian, as I mentioned on our show before. And there was a time, oh my goodness, let's see. It was in 2010, 11-ish, where I just had this like thought that I couldn't get over. And it was just like, I really feel that I should be practicing Judaism. And I just didn't know where it came from. It was just on my heart. Growing up, the Old Testament was always something that resonated with me, and more so New Testament. And I remember I was just like so confused why I had these feelings. And then I turned on the news and they talked about this Jewish, I guess, holiday called Yom Kippur. I was like, what the heck is Yom Kippur? And so I learned about it, that I was obsessed with it. And that's when I took it as a sign that I needed to incorporate that into my life. And I'm really grateful for it because I feel like dipped as a Christian because Jesus was Jewish. Hello. So why weren't we ever taught these other practices along with Christianity? And it kind of made me a little upset with Christianity for a while. I felt like they wanted to just totally ignore all of that stuff. And it's helped me in my spiritual growth. But because of my health issues, sometimes my hormones get the best of me. And something that I've been really working on is not getting mad or upset over things I can't control. Stoner Jesus, every morning I walk Minnie after my workout, okay? I go really early so I don't have to look at anyone, talk to anyone. I know it's a real bitchy thing to say, but it's just, I don't want to bother you. There's this person. At first, I didn't know if it was a man or a woman. It's patting out. And I don't know why, for the first time I ever saw them, because they have only been on this walking route that I go on for about maybe 3 or 4 months. So, kind of new. And first of all, when they walk like this. Just, I don't know why. They're overweight. Um, so they just really stand out. They're walking like this. Then there's this house, and this house has um, a fence. And so what started to interrupt this person was they stop at this house that's not theirs, by the way, and they hold on to the fence, and then they bend down, like guessing to stretch their back or something, but that means that their ass into the sidewalk, like sticking it out big time. And as I've complained over and over on here, people in my neighborhood just cannot be bothered to stop at stop signs. There's lots of pedestrians that get hit. Some people have died. So it's an
Bam.
anxiety I have. Like I'm with many, you know, it's like a whole thing. So typically, the only time I move into the street is if I see, out of respect, when I see somebody, maybe a mom that has a stroller. So she has her kids. Like, I'm going to move out of the freaking way. I'm not going to be pushy and like try to share the sidewalk, especially like when COVID hit and everything. It was a common courtesy that somebody on the sidewalk would move to the street just so to keep that social distancing. So now that COVID hasn't been what it was before, there's real pushy people on these. And I don't know if I rub people on because I do have a stroller for Minnie and I walk with her with it. I do live by the mountains. There's coyotes. And so for me, it helps my anxiety that to be a coyote and it's happened. Or I just put Minnie inside there so she's safe. Um, so there's that. So I don't know if some people think it's just dumb that I have this and it's a stroller that I used to have for Fred and Ethel, my minis I had. And so it's a double decker. It's made for two. So I don't know if people get like, oh, who's this girl? She doesn't even have a baby in there, like whatever. But people get really weird, pushy energy fights with people on the sidewalk. It's just so annoying. To like change my time of walking Minnie to avoid certain people because I just can't. So this person sticking their ass out, and here's the kicker. I've seen them when I've gotten on my walk a little bit earlier, or maybe they're late in their walk, and I've seen them stop bending down so people can pass them, but they
Mm.
never do it for me and Minnie, ever. They just stick that ass out, stick that ass out. So what I do, Petty Shelly comes alive. There's like a little bit of grass. So real aggressively, I'll go over the grass, like clearly being upset. They don't care. Now this person has a friend that walks with them. And so today I was praying and then I seen them from afar. I saw the bending over. And I'm thinking, doesn't your walking partner tell you this is weird to do this? Way, if that was my house, I'd be really annoyed that this person does this all the time. Like, go somewhere else. Don't use my fence. So their partner stood where the grass area was. So I had no choice but to go into the street.
Wow.
And in the morning at that early, there's a lot of people that are driving to like work and stuff like that. So there's a lot of traffic that's going. And again, I have so much anxiety. So I guess because the little friend was like, so they're taking up all the sidewalk and this grass. I just can't kick out of this bad mood ever since then. And my morning started off so good. I was again observing Yom Kippur, my prayers, my meditations, had a good workout, enjoyed my walk with Minnie up until then. But I've been like really salty ever since then. And it pisses me off because like I can't control this. So why do I have to let it bother me so much? So there
Well,
it
one,
is.
people are assholes. Two, not to pile onto your mood, but we seem to have developed a bit of an audio problem on your end. It's kind of like part of it gets cut out and then like it speeds up. So it brings together two other pieces of audio and like does it like every 20 or 30 seconds now. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if you like leaving and coming back will fix it, but
Okay, let me try that.
all right. I will be here. Shelly leaves and comes back. I don't know if this will make her mood worse. We'll see. Maybe we can get her like really railing on some people. Now, bad mood Shelly. Look at my sweater. Look at that. It's all screwed up. Break out the sweater. It's cold as hell here. Or cold as the opposite of hell, if you will. In any case, let's see if we can make Shelly's mood worse with technical issues. By the way, I apologize for the technical issues and for the state of my sweater. In any case, hopefully when Shelly comes back, it'll be fixed. The little clipping that's going on. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Which I'm sure you know, because if you're listening and watching the show, you heard it. It's like takes part out and then speeds back up and like, I don't know. It's very weird. Very weird happenings going on with the technical issues. Maybe it's somebody messing with Shelly. I don't know. I mean, I think, I think Shelly has people in her neighborhood that don't care for her. The woman who tried to run her over and her dog in the parking lot of the grocery store. And now these people don't get the hell out of the way on the sidewalk. I don't know. Then Shelly from YouTube or something? Like, hey, there's a bra from YouTube. I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out as Shelly comes back if things are better.
Is that better?
So far seems to be better. As I was commenting when you were gone, I was thinking maybe, you seem to have people in your neighborhood or in your general area that seem to, if not dislike you, something along those lines. We're talking about the woman who tried to run over you and Minnie in the parking lot. Now these big ass people that won't get out of the way. I don't know if they're aware of you and they're like, hey, that's that broad, that wrestler broad or that YouTube chick or whatever. I don't know. It's very weird. Maybe now they're messing with your broadcasting capabilities. It's very weird.
You never know. You never know. And here's the thing. I have had these energy fights with people on the sidewalk before. What helped me not let it affect me as much is realize that in life in general, most people aren't self-aware. Whether they choose not to be, they're so just always been that way. You know what I mean? Like some people I think choose not to be self, and then there's some people that they just don't know how it is to be self-aware. Whereas I'm the type of person, I'm very self-aware. I'm very aware of my surroundings when I'm outside. Maybe it comes from growing up the way I did. My grandma lived in the ghetto. You got to watch your back. Also, female, especially back in the day when I was doing acting and modeling, when I was in my first stages of it, 18 years old. I would drive here and come to California. I would drive into from Ontario, Chino area to LA or Hollywood. And that was we've talked about on the show before there was GPS, before there were phones that are now. So I had to print out a MapQuest or use the Thomas guide to auditions or to shoots. So I always had to be aware of my surroundings just for my safety. And so I come to the conclusion a lot of these people are just not self-aware. But then there are some people who can tell they are. Like this person who I figured out a couple weeks ago is a woman. I've seen multiple times now stop bending over for other people, and she registers and looks at them, but she won't do it for me and Minnie. And with the first time that I saw her having a walking partner, which is very new, I think it was last week. That was the first time before I saw her fence. So they were still walking. Number one, she wasn't swinging her arms all crazy. Two, they both to the street. And I was like, oh, so now you get out of the way. Okay. So what's the deal? And then there was a couple times that it happened, but since keep there at the house with the fence, that's when like it's back to how it was before. I'm not saying like, oh, everyone needs to just get out of my way. I'm not saying that at all, because it's called sidewalk etiquette, people etiquette. Like I said, when I see somebody with a baby stroller, I'm not gonna keep going and then make them feel like they have to go in the street. That's a be in a store. Or a parent with little kids. I'm not gonna like, I'm fine, but even though anxiety, I feel it's more important for those kids and that parent to be safe. And I need to be extra cautious when I'm on that part, on the street or whatever. And again, being self-aware. And I've seen other people be self-aware too, which makes me realize that I'm not the only one. Like, people can get it. You have these weird ass people that just like, I don't know if it's entitlement or I just rub them the wrong way, because here I come with my boobs and my little chihuahua, and Minnie has her coyote vest on and it's pink and the stroller's pink, and they're just like, oh, who's this bitch? I don't know if that's what it is, but this bitch is somebody who's trying to go on a walk with her dog safely. That's who this bitch is. I'm not the bitch that's using somebody else's house and their fence to bend over so my ass is sticking out. Like,
I wonder if these people are like, oh, here comes boobs again with their little,
probably,
we're going to stick our ass out.
probably, probably. And there was a time like I was like just like not having it. And I didn't even go in the grass part. I stayed on the sidewalk to make it real uncomfortable, to be like, stop, like, stop. And the reason why I don't do anything is because when I get that annoyed, my mouth has gotten me in trouble and it's not worth it. That's what I've learned. So if I were to be like, excuse me, because that's how when it'd be excuse me or excuse me, it'd be like, excuse me. I know myself. You know how they say it's better not to say anything, or if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all? Like, sometimes that applies to me, especially if I'm, like, that rubbed wrong. It's like, it's better for me not to say anything. It's better for me just to try to move past it being this person's ass. And, like, it's just gross because they really bend, and it's just there, dude, and it's like it just really annoys me. And Danielle's car insurance expired, and so she has to wait a couple days to get paid to like pay for it. So she asked me to take her to work this morning, and I was telling her about this person because I haven't talked about it like at home or anything, because I'm just trying to really not let this person let Pat get to me, And so I told Danielle, I was like, telling me about it makes me mad. And so that made me feel better that like it's not just me being like some kind of bitch with, whatever, but I just, for some reason, I don't know if it's because the walking buddy was taking up the room now too. So now it's both of them. But oh my God, I just can't. I can't wait for the weather to be consistently cool. Because once again, I'm be changing the time that I walk Minnie so that I can just avoid this. And it sucks that I have to now twice change up my daily routine, Minnie's daily routine, because of people being so negative and so weird about the sidewalk, that the only solution I can find that's not going to get my mouth like in trouble like my mouth is, all right, well then I'll just have to change my whole damn day and routine up.
I wonder how many people watching this got the Pat reference. That's very old school. The audio issues, they're now coming and going. It's like it's good for a while, and then it starts up again, and then it goes away again. And I've been racking my brain. I don't know what it would be and what the fix of it would be.
I wonder if it has to do with my windows being open. Let me
I
do
have
this.
no idea.
Let me log back in, but I'll close my windows before then and see if that helps.
Okay.
Okay.
Try that. More technical troubleshooting on Smokeout with Shelly and SJ. We try to fix Shelly's audio issues, which, I mean, it was something small. I normally wouldn't even mention it. I swear, it's crazy. I wouldn't mention it, but like it's like kind of consistent and it's cutting down a lot of what she's saying. So I'm like, people watching, you're subscribing to this. You're like, hey, I want to hear what Shelly's saying. That's the whole fucking reason we're doing this show. We're subscribing to this show. I want to hear what Shelly's got going on. And you know, and then there's audio issues on her end. It wouldn't matter as much if there's audio issues on my end. So I just interject, witty commentary and questions every now and then. Unless I have something concrete to contribute or related in any way. So anyway, thank you for chilling with us and lasting through technical troubleshooting with us as we bring Shelly back. Hopefully that did it. If not, it's just gonna be is what it is. I don't know what to say.
At least I'm not locked out.
How-
And at least my fucking die, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess that's the show.
Yeah, that was it. The phone went away and it was just me. And I was like, well, Shelly's phone died. That's gonna be the end of the show. I hope you all enjoyed. If you all missed last week's episode 16, you want to go check it out. It's a very special episode. We'll do that. Not now. Finish this one and then go back and watch.
Yeah. What I learned about last week's show is usually I keep the glass part of the window open, leaving just screen in the garage. So last week after that, I learned to just always close that damn window when I'm not in there because it was too easy for me to break in there.
That's right. You broke in while doing a show. But no, speaking of the fat ass Pat person, I have the same pet peeve about people in the grocery store who will like look at the shelves and they leave their fucking cart right in the middle of the aisle. I always pull mine to the side. No matter what I'm doing, if I stop for 2 fucking seconds, I pull it to the side. It's not that hard.
It's not. I remember years ago. I would feel the same way at the grocery store. And people are real pushy at the grocery store too.
Mm-hmm.
There was this old man and he was coming my way and I kind of went to the side so he can get past. But like if he's coming towards me, I went to the left of him and he got so mad. He's like, is that how you drive? It's like you're driving. You got to go to the right. And I never forgot that. And so it's funny. Usually I do that now when I try to get out of the way for people. I just think of that old man. I was like, all right, the rules here, the old school rules, will go by it. But yeah, people just like when they leave their cart in the middle or if they see you, like this is my other pet peeve at the grocery store. Be coming down the aisle and let's say somebody is looking at whatever, they are parked over to the side. You see I'm coming. A lot of times I even look and then they'll like continue to look. Why is it that some of those people I had to literally stop right in front of them and be like, excuse me? It's like, I'm coming. There's room. Like, I don't understand it. I don't know. Again, I don't know if people just can't be bothered or they like it's like, what else am I supposed to do? I can't go around you. Carts pulled by. Thank you for that, by the way. So what the F do you want me to do right now? Like wait for you to pick your choice? Like I'm not a person that's not going to say anything. I'm going to say, I have no problem saying, excuse me, or is that your cart? Okay. Like I have no problem being that person. Sometimes I feel people when they're rude like that, they count on the fact that most people won't say anything and they'll feel uncomfortable and they'll feel like they can't do anything or whatever. And it's like, that's not me, dude. I will say something.
So beware. She's Shelly coming. Especially you fat ass Pat person on the street. Those of you who don't know Pat, go search Pat Saturday Night Live on YouTube. It's worth it. The whole catalog of Pat. It's worth it.
This chick, she looks like Pat with gray hair.
Maybe Pat got older.
Maybe it is Pat.
There you go. Ask for his autograph.
Maybe that's why Pat's like, you need to get out of my way. I'm Pat. Don't you know who I am? I'm going to bend over real nice.
Next time she's there, you should stop and say, are you Pat? Can I have your autograph? And see what she says.
And the kicker of it all is, even before I got into wrestling and everything, I've always been into fitness. Since I was like in first grade, I started doing athletics. I was in track up until high school. Um, I was like the only girl in weight training class in high school. I was always in fitness. This stretch or whatever she's doing does nothing, by the way, except disrupt the sidewalk. That's all it does. Like, there's nothing being stretched. If anything, the way she does it, because she does it real fast, it's like it's not like a stretch, stretching the back out, maybe even getting a little bit of, your calf. It's not that. It's bend, 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 and it's just like you can hurt yourself. By the way, like that's not good for you to be doing that.
Maybe she just wants everybody to see her ass. It could be as simple as that. Ass presentation stretches.
I guess.
More knowing ass. Last week, one of the things we touched on while Shelly was locked out was most annoying cartoon characters. Earlier today on our Twitter, if you don't follow us on Twitter, it's scrolling. The thing's scrolling the entire time. You can't miss it. Shelly SJ Smoke on Twitter and Shelly SJ Smoke Out on Instagram because you can't fit out onto the Twitter handle, and it's very annoying. In any case, I posted it up there. Reply with gifts. I don't think anybody has yet besides myself and Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers. Reply with gifts of your most hated or annoying cartoon characters, and we will discuss it on a future show. And maybe even pick the most annoying all the time. I don't know. See how deep we get into it.
I know. I feel like, I mean, I haven't been on Twitter today yet because, again, I'm doing my thing. But I hope people get into it because I'm really curious to see the different characters that people get annoyed by. Because there's some really, and then they grew on me. One of them is like Lisa Simpson. I used to hate her. Like, oh my gosh, she used to rub me wrong, and so did Mark. And now it's crazy because it's the flip. Homer bothers me, not all the time, but a lot. Bart, he's a little brat, little bastard. Like, oh my gosh, it's just so funny how there's this flip for me. And I think it kind of goes with when we talked about TV characters that get on my nerves. And it's so crazy. And I talk about The Office because I've seen The Office a gajillion times from beginning to end, like many times. But it's so crazy because two characters I hate the most, Pam and Jim, characters I really liked at first, especially Jim. Like I was even like, ooh, Jim. And like now I'm like, oh my God, I can't like sometimes I have to if it's too Pam and Jim annoying heavy, I can't even watch the episode. Like I get physically mad like I do with Peggy Hill. And it's just so crazy. And like I've thought about like what is that? And what it is when life has gone by and I've experienced the different Pams, Jims, Bart Simpsons, and Homers of the world. It's like I didn't have those experiences when, especially with The Simpsons. I mean, I've been watching The Simpsons since it was on Tracy Ullman show. So I'm like die hard, like since I was a little ass girl watching The Simpsons. So especially with The Simpsons, I didn't know how it was to deal with people like that. It was foreign to me. It wasn't even a thought. People like that really exist. It was a cartoon, it's just these characters. But now it's like, oh my God. And like, I even find myself like if I'm annoyed with somebody or a situation in real life, I'm like, they freaking Homer Simpson over here. What is that, a little Bart Simpson? Oh, is it Pam and Jim over here? And it's so funny because it's really bad with Pam and Jim because I'm a dreamer. I've always had dreams and I always remember them since I can remember real vividly too. Like people like, how do you remember your dreams like that? But I just do. And I have a lot of dreams about Pam and Jim. And this is a newer thing. Like it's not something that's happened to me like since I've been watching. It's more been like in the past year or so. And I think the Pam and Jim thing uh started annoying me the most because the last guy I did wrestling, which made me not ever want to date a wrestler again. No offense. I know everyone's different, like whatever, but just my experiences of dating a wrestler. It was a situation where the dude cheated on me with another girl that was a wrestler. And what was worse is I would work with both of them at the same shows, and everyone knew except me. And so I think that's why the Pam and Jim thing annoys me so much. Because their story leading to them finally together is very similar to like kind of what I went through, like, in a flirting and like, ugh. So I think that's the big reason why that they annoy me so much, because I was in a situation like Pam ended up, she was supposed to be marrying this guy Roy, and so I find myself feeling like the Roy character a lot. And then it's funny because later Roy in the seasons gets married to somebody else, and his life is completely different for the better without Pam. Like he's very successful. He looks good. He goes out, like he's just all around so much better off than if he would have stayed with Pam. And that's how I feel about my ex, is like my life is so much better how it turned out than if I would have ended up working things out. Like even if he never cheated on me, let's say, and like whatever, my life wouldn't be stay. So it goes deep with Pam and Jim for me. And some of my good friends know this. And like on Twitter, here's a little hint, you guys, if you ever see me tweet, I haven't done it in a while because I've been trying to back off, tweet about Pam, Jim, or Roy, that's literally because my good friends know, and that's their like our little inside thing of them knowing what I'm talking about. B, the girl that was the Pam in the situation in my real life, she follows me. And I know she feels that energy when I'm like talking crap. And it's so funny because even my friends that are from wrestling, they won't say that girl's name when we talk about it privately. They're like, "Oh, did you hear what happened to Pam?" Like we call her Pam. So there's a little tidbit for you guys.
Maybe one day Pam will be a subscriber. So, hello, Pam. Switching gears now to movies. First of all, I wanted to see if you got a chance to see the Monsters movie or not.
Dude, I've been dragging my feet on that. Like every time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it today. I'm just like, I just don't want to do it. Like I know I have to. And what's so funny that you mention it is I think it was yesterday, somebody on my YouTube channel had made a comment. They're like, "Hey, have you watched the Munsters yet?" Because the reason why I even came on your channel was because I watched the movie and I thought of you and I wanted to see if you did any review of it. You got to do a review of it. And so I know I owe it to my fans. I owe it to Munster fans who have no idea who I even am, and just the energy of who the Munsters are to my life. I owe it to all of that to do this, but it's so effing hard for me to sit down and be like, okay. And here's the thing, on the weekends, I'm usually pretty busy because during the week, I do go full force work and like get things done. As most of you may or may not know, I do everything myself. I shoot everything, I edit everything, post everything. Something that's been taking a lot of my time is redoing my site, shellymartinez.net, which has been a headache. I also, on top of being a full-time content creator, edit videos for other companies. That's my other job that I do. So Monday through Friday, I really dedicate myself to all of that. So on the weekends, there's a lot of stuff I got to take care of, lots of stuff. So it's like, and not only that, but I have to have balance. So a lot of times I make plans for the weekend and I go do stuff just so I don't always in work mode. So I keep telling myself, because I know the rest of my household knows the movie's gonna suck too. I feel like we're supposed to watch, like if I were to watch it without them, they'd be like, "Why'd you watch it without me?" I know that metal Jesus would be like, "Why'd you watch it without me?" So I keep saying on the weekend I'm gonna watch it, but then either I find something better to do or I'm just like, okay, I did a bunch of maybe today was really busy. The last thing I want to do is get in a bad mood because I hate this movie so much. But I got to do it. And I feel like that person, whoever left me that comment, it made me like kick into gear and be like, okay, this week for sure, I got to watch the movie.
You just look on your face. You say, I got to watch the movie.
Oh,
Huh.
it's like we said when we had Kevin Goatee on. I feel like it's going to be Tommy Boy all over again for me. Like, the only reason why I watched it was because I wanted to be back on the show for gutting the sacred cow. So I kind of had to, right? I made that commitment. And then, like, I made the commitment. It was wait to the last minute to finally watch it. Like, I watched it literally like the day of the podcast. Like, I finished it, and then like an hour later, I recorded the podcast with Gutting Sacred Cow. So like, I waited to the last minute. I try to be positive about it. I had some of my favorite snacks with me. I'll try to make it a thing, kind of get me in the mood. And like after it was over, I just felt like, dude, I'm never like life is precious and I'm never getting that what hour of my life back ever again. And I kind of think that that's how the Monsters movie is going to be.
Yeah. It's a big chunk of time, especially nowadays. You look at a movie and it's like an hour and 40 minutes. You're like, that's a substantial amount of time to dedicate to something that you think is going to suck and probably will suck.
I rather for the gazillionth time watch Seinfeld or The Simpsons or even The Office and be annoyed with Pam and Jim than I do wanting to watch this damn movie. And it's so crazy because I don't think people understand, unless people knew me back in the day, how obsessed I used to be with Rob Zombie. Like, obsessed. Like, it was bad. Like, I just thought he was super hot. Like, I loved his music. Loved how artistic he was, like, with all his like everything he represented, and like whether it was his like graphic comic stuff, comic book type of stuff, or his movies, or in his music videos. Like, I was obsessed. And going back to my Jesus fetish, he looks like an evil Jesus, right? And so when I met Metal Jesus, I remember I was like, "Oh my god, you're hotter than Rob Zombie. Like, you're hotter than you're better." And to this day, I call him better than Zombie. And then I refer to Rob Zombie as his brother that's bitter. I was like, "How's your bitter brother?" Or, "Oh, your bitter brother's over here making the monsters." Like, so like it goes deep. Like, I remember when I lived in Kentucky, my roommates would give me a hard time because I was so obsessed with Rob Zombie and I had this big old poster of him in my room. Like, I just was like to the extreme a zombie fan. And I remember before I left California to move to Kentucky for WWE, I went to this horror convention just to meet Rob Zombie. And I had this like business card that had like a modeling business card, so I had like my sexy photo on it. And then when he signed my Devil's Rejects poster, I was like, "Oh, I'm off to go to the WWE and da da da." And like, here's my card. Like, Sherry Moon was standing right there, and she did not like me. She did not appreciate that I gave him my card. Like, I was real ballsy and disrespectful like that because I was so obsessed with him, like so effing obsessed. And I knew he liked wrestling, so that's why I had to throw in there, "Oh, yeah." Like, so it's so crazy going back to like her talking about the TV characters and the cartoon characters. I admit I still think he's hot, but it's not like how I don't look at him at all the way I used to. And I kind of lost respect for him.
Hopefully, you'll be pleasantly surprised, and it'll be a decent movie. We'll see. We have to find out. Speaking of movies, we also discussed possibly doing a watch along of a movie here soon. Let me bring up the trailer. I mentioned Evil Bong. Seems like a good candidate. Neither of us has ever seen it, so it'll be fresh to us. Let's check out the trailer for Evil Bong. And I understand there's like 1,000 Evil Bongs. There's been many, many sequels. So I'm at the first Evil Bong. Let's see. There we go. Let's check out the trailer.
In a flophouse, three stoners are looking for the ultimate high.
Large bong for sale. Recently deceased owner claims it was possessed. Because if there's one thing this pad is lacking, it's a killer fucking bong, man.
What they found is something sinister.
It's the item you've been waiting for. Does my bong look different? It's the bong, man. It's evil.
One hit and she gives you your dreams.
Do you know where we are?
But in this world, you get high, you die.
I come to take you out, bitch.
Only one thing is for certain. She'll give you the munchies. This summer, let's get baked. Evil Bong. Dude, it's one scary trip.
Monkey.
So there you go. Never seen a trailer before until today.
Well, remember I said I may have seen it and then turned it off?
Yeah.
That is the movie. Because Stacy Burke, who is a fetish model, she's a former Hugh Hefner girlfriend.
Mhm.
I'm work friends with her, and I remember seeing her, and I was like, "Oh my god, Stacy's in here," because she's not into cannabis at all or anything. So I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I remember the Tommy Chong, but I'm so down to watch it again because that was a really long time ago, and it's fun to watch something like that when it's like something like we're doing, like a watch along, where it's like it's like a theme. Look at our show. Like I only watched like 10 minutes of it, so I don't even know what happens. Because it wasn't worth my time when it was my private time,
Right.
but I think we can have a good episode with watching it is what my point is.
Absolutely. So 3 weeks from today is the 26th. I think that'd be a good day to do it just before Halloween. Big
Totally.
Halloween extravaganza or whatnot. So look forward to that. Very
It's
awesome.
fun. One of those gals' outfits that she had on with the skulls or on her boobs.
Mhm.
I totally have something similar. I think I'm gonna have to bust it out.
I do not have something similar. It's a shame. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't have any of the outfits from that. I do have bongs though, so I'll break out a bong. Maybe I'll draw a face on it. I don't know.
Speaking of bongs, my outfit finally arrived, and what I wanted to shoot with the one that I gifted from our flaky subscribers. So stay tuned for that, people. Some sexy photos, Halloween themed, with that price that this dude didn't want. I guess.
Absolutely. As I mentioned before on the show, my memory when it comes to things is not great, especially on past shows. So I had an idea, and it seems like it was somewhere in the planning stages, or we actually did it on the previous incarnation of the show. I'm not sure. So since I have Shelly here, I will ask her. Did we ever do F Mary Kill with wrestlers? I remember the idea. I remember having the idea and maybe even telling you about the idea, but I don't remember that we ever actually did it.
I feel the same way.
I mean, I guess I could. I mean, this notebook, I guess, has all of the old shows, like all the old notes. Because I've been using this notebook for a while. It's a big ass notebook. I do show notes for all my shows in here. Really
Well,
cool.
even if we did do it, we should do it anyways.
That's right.
We're here on the
Yeah.
YouTube. On here are wrestling fans.
Yeah. We have yet to add the back catalog to what we got going on so people can access it anyway.
And you know, it's funny because long story short as I can make it, there's this wrestler named Paul London. And I've known Paul for a really long time. From before this were in WWE or anything like that. And I've always liked Paul a lot. I mean, I don't know him like super well, but like I said, he's one of those people you just know for a long time kind of thing. And something that I thought was really cool was back in the day, I was in a really rough place in my life and I'm between places to live. So I was staying at my friend's house at the time because my friend is a famous musician and he at the time wasn't living in California. He was living in his other house out of state. He was trying to sell his California home. And so he knew I was like, I just went through a breakup. So I moved out of that guy's house. So while Danielle and I were between places, he's like, well, my house, so you could stay there, you know, for a few weeks, whatever. And so I remember Danielle and I put an application in for an apartment. It's just one of those things where like I could find out if we got approved right away or it was going to be an entire day. So it was like a whole day of waiting. And there's this company called High Spots, and High Spots has been around for a really long time. They have wrestling content, sell DVDs and stuff. They also sell like wrestling gear. They sell like anything wrestling related is High Spots. And so they had this DVD, and one of the people that worked there gave it to me because they knew I loved Paul London and Brian Kendrick. And it was their shoot interview. And so I thought, well, I'll kill some time watching their shoot interview because it was like 2 hours. And that made me like Paul London and Brian Kendrick even more because of how honest they were being. They were talking about stuff that most people that have been in WWE wouldn't talk about. Granted, they were drinking and stuff like that, so get a little loose and more free with your words. But I was like, hell yeah, because at that point, they were so respected as a tag team and as wrestlers. It was really awesome to hear them like speak the truth about some stuff. And so one of the things that stood out to me was they both said that they'd rather work at Home Depot than to ever go back to WWE. And Paul London never went back to WWE. Brian Kendrick, and I'm not judging him on that. You don't know people's situation. I really resonated with that because there's just no way I'd ever go back. Like, you know, we've talked about before. My instead of work at Depot, mine was just I'd rather just do food deliveries then if that's the case. So Paul London is somebody that like I said, I read things he has to say. And so he was on the podcast, this wrestler, Renee Dupree. Now, Renee Dupree worked with him. I knew him when I was in OVW. I worked with him in ECW, but I don't know him that well. And I don't remember what happened. I just know that there was like a weird tension between us and not like a sexual tense, like we were like I wanted to hook up with him or anything. It was nothing like that. But one of the things that we bonded over was we both were big fans of Rob Zombie. And there was a time where him and I drove with each other like for the week when we were on the road. And so even though there's like maybe some weirdness and I just can't remember, and I usually remember stuff like this, I don't ever think of Renee Dupree as like somebody I don't like. You know what I mean? Like when his name would come up, it'd just be like, oh, okay. And I remember on he gave me this shirt and it was a Captain Spaulding shirt. It was really, really cool. He's like, yeah, this is too small for me. And because you're such a fan of, you know, House of a Thousand Corpses, like, you know, would you? I was like, yeah. And I kept it a really long time. It was like I've never seen that shirt anywhere else. But what made me throw it out was when I was dating this one wrestler and he would help other people book people for shows. He was like, dude, what's with the heat between you and Renee Dupree? And I was like, I have heat with Renee Dupree. Like, what do you mean? He was like, yeah, he hit me up about booking female wrestlers. And when he was asked, he knew we were together. He was like, but Shelly. Whoa, okay. And so I threw the shirt away because I got real pissy about it. I was like, oh, okay, so you're gonna like, all right, that's fine. Well, a couple months ago, I saw circulating on Twitter, Paul London did Renee podcast, which I didn't even realize he had a podcast because again, I don't keep up with him. I was like, wow, I'd really like to hear what he has to say. So I'm watching the different clips. I'm like, okay, cool, like whatever. I was even thinking, well, that's pretty cool that Renee is doing this thing because he calls it Cafe Renee, blah, blah, blah. And it's so interesting because I didn't post anything about me watching them, but it just happened like around that time. People would randomly write me being like, you should be on Renee Dupree's podcast and da 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 da. And then some like, oh, I know that there's some stuff between you guys. And I'm like, what are they talking about? So when I was scrolling through Renee's videos, I saw a thumbnail that had my photo on it. And it was Mary Kill, or what is it? Mary
Kill.
And he goes first and he goes, I'd kill Shelly Martinez. I never liked that bitch from the first time I met her. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's real interesting. Your shirt. And there was like, it was so crazy. So then that just like turned me off with Renee. So when you said that, that's what I immediately thought of was like, what? And then I wanted to make a YouTube video about it, but then I was like, you know what? It's just not even worth it. I'm not going to go back and forth with freaking Renee Dupree, whatever. If he doesn't like me, that's fine. Like, I don't care. And at first I was curious. I was like, what's the deal? Like, what's his problem? And it's funny because ever since then, that was a few months ago, I randomly get people and they're like, you should be on his podcast. You guys should air it out. And I'm like, I don't want to air it out.
Well, I'll make sure to include him in the list with opportunity to kill him right back. They take that. Now you're dead. By the way, I was worried that we might have now. I thought, well, how am I going to get Evil Bong to stream it on the show? And luckily, it's free in many, many places. Amazon Prime Video, Tubi, Vudu, and the Roku channel. It's free on all of them.
As it should be.
IMDb, it's got 3.8 out of 10. But on Google, 63% like it. So, we'll see. For us, it doesn't matter whether if we like it or we hate it. It's still going to be a good show.
Totally. And it's so funny because as I mentioned in a show before when you brought it up, when I went to a cannabis event, I got like all kinds of like free stuff that was promoting that. And so before I even watched the movie, I was all about it because it looks funny. The bottle looks like there would be like those little adhesive things that you put the bottom of your bong. Like they had that. Like
Wow.
I would even give it out to some of my stoner friends, and I'm like, yeah, evil bong. Like it seemed like I was all about it until I watched it.
And there's obviously an audience for it. They made like 9 sequels. So somebody is
And-
high enough to watch it.
And that's the kind of films that I, as an actress, that's my jam. Like I like being a part of productions like that. Just dumb, stupid. People roll their eyes when they find out that's the movie or TV thing I was involved in. Like I just appreciate that, like that just low budget. Most of their budget went to paying Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
Like and maybe some graphics, but mostly Tommy Chong. Like I love shoots like that. And I was just talking to Danielle about it yesterday. I was like, I miss doing gigs like I was talking about another thing I did. Very similar to the budget that this show probably had or movie had. But I was just like, I just love bad movies. I don't know what it is. Like that's why this thing with the Munsters, you would think I'd be like, oh, it's a bad movie, haha. But there's a difference between a good bad movie that like you can have fun with versus you're disrespecting the Munsters right now. Like that's just too much.
Yeah. We'll see. That'll be like I said, the 26th. We'll shoot for Evil Bong, and F Mary Kill Wrestling Edition is definitely coming as well. And spoiler alert: Rene Dupree's going to die. So you know.
What's the problem, Rene Dupree?
Right. So I hate that bitch. He's dead. There you go.
The thing you should have. I'll have to send you. I'll go look for the link and I'll send it. He's just like, I hated that bitch from the moment I saw her. Like the way he just says it, like, God, like you could have fooled me. Like, and that's what made me think, like, I don't know what happened between us. Again, we never hooked up. It was not like that. Like, I remember when I first did ECW, they had us do house shows separate from SmackDown, and eventually we did them with SmackDown. So at the beginning stages, that's when I rode with him. And I remember we were at some like place that we had the show, and for whatever reason, there was like stables there. And I remember like during downtime, like looking at the horses with him, like, I don't know. So it's like,
Wow.
what happened? And it bothers me so much because my memory's so good, especially when there's weird vibes with somebody. Like, but my memory of the like trip with him was pretty positive. And then before that, I just really didn't even know him that well. And when I lived in this apartment complex in Kentucky, a lot of wrestlers lived in the same one. And I remember being at training and he had texted Aaron Stevens, who was my best friend for a long time. He was like, hey, tell Shelly her dogs are running around. Because my front door would like open, like it was like kind of messed up. Like I would think I locked it and it just would open. And so like he was nice enough to get my dogs and put them in my apartment. Like, I don't know. So it's like, what was the thing? And I don't talk to Aaron anymore, but I even thought about hitting Aaron up and being like, hey, what happened between me and Pre? Like, I not remember for the life of me. But then I just felt like it just wasn't even worth bringing up. Like I didn't want to start like a gossip kind of thing. So I just was like, whatever, dude. Fine. But I can't for the life of me think about what the hell happened.
That's hilarious. Shelly, thank you for another great week. Maybe not as event filled as last week, but then you can't do that every week. You're breaking your house every week and be in the yard.
Yeah, especially when it's nice and organic like that.
That's right. All right, Shelly. Thank you. Another awesome show in the books. Go subscribe. Channel2.com. It's awesome. Great shows coming up.
All right. See you next week.
Thanks, Shelly.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.